Hello, my name is Roz Weishart, and today I am starting a series called Odd Book Club. This series is born from one of the simplest joys I have ever found in life, which is going to a Goodwill or a thrift store or anything selling anything secondhand, going to the book section, and finding what I can only describe as something that intrigues me and makes me ask questions. If you have never tried this before, I 100% suggest it. You can really find some good gems. Now, in doing this, you can usually find some books that are a little odd, maybe aren't written that well, but they have a compelling plot. Anyhow, sit back, relax, grab a cup of tea or some coffee, and enjoy this strange book with me. We are going to get started with a book called Blood and Chocolate. This book is written by Annette Curtis Klaus. She has written 3 other books. She's also contributed to a number of others, but her lone books are The Silver Kiss, Freaks, Alive on the Inside, and Alien Secrets. I'm deeply intrigued, and I have to say, I will be doing those later on. But before we do that, we must cover Blood and Chocolate. Vivian Gandolin relishes the change. The sweet, fierce ache, okay, it's already sexual, that carries her from girl to wolf. At 16, she is beautiful and strong, and all the young wolves are on her tail. But Vivian still grieves for her dead father. Her pack remains leaderless and in disarray, and she feels lost in the suburbs of Maryland. She longs for a normal life. But what is normal for a werewolf? Then, Vivian falls in love with a human, a meat boy. I really hope that's a term of endearment. Aiden is kind and gentle, a welcome relief from the squabbling pack. He's fascinated by magic, and Vivian longs to reveal herself to him. Surely he would understand her and delight in the wonder of her dual nature, not fear her as an ordinary human would. Vivian's divided loyalties are strained further when a brutal murder threatens to expose the pack. Moving between 2 worlds, she does not seem to belong in either. What is she really, human or beast? Which tastes sweeter, blood or chocolate? I think this is pretty par for the course. Nothing super stands out to me here except for meat boy is a crazy term. I do genuinely hope it's a term of endearment, and I do hope that Aiden is completely confused by it. Number 2, Blood and Chocolate. Since obviously we've got the title Blood and Chocolate and then the last line being which tastes sweeter, blood or chocolate, I do hope that at some point we get Vivian, maybe towards the beginning when she's meeting Aiden, we get Vivian describing eating chocolate. Maybe we get one line of her talking about the way that it tastes, its sweetness, the boldness, whatever descriptors the author wants to use. And then I hope later in the book, hopefully when she's transformed, she, eats a squirrel or a rabbit, something with blood, and then we get her describing the taste of the blood in the animal. And I hope that the descriptors of each kind of mirror each other. Or maybe she eats the chocolate when she's in dog forms and gets the shits, like real dogs do. We are starting out in May at the Ghost Moon. I don't know if we're going to get Ghost Moon explained to us, or if it's just for the vibes. So it's just a little 2-page prologue. We do get the death of her father. The pack is under attack. They're not sure from who. A building is on fire and burning. Vivian's dad is inside of the building. It seems as if he is the only casualty from this. Esme started toward the building, and Vivian grabbed her and held on tight. No, you can't both be in there. I can't stand it. Esme fought to get away, but at 15, Vivian was her match. You can't stop him, Vivian said. He swore to protect the pack. But I need to be beside him, Esme begged. They're my people too. What have I done, Vivian thought. If only she'd stopped the boys, this might not have happened. If only she told her father they were out of control. Now we are moving to next year. It is May/June, the midsummer moon. Since the burning in West Virginia, it looks like the whole pack has moved up to Maryland. I did have to look up where Maryland was, and I am embarrassed to admit that. However, they have moved up to Maryland from West Virginia. Looks like her mom is not dealing with grief well. She's been fighting with other members of the pack. She's also kind of sleeping around, and that's one of the reasons why she's been fighting, is because she's been fighting with the other women who are sleeping with the men that she's sleeping with. Immediately off the bat, I'm going to assume we're not going to get a lot of solidarity between women in this book. We do get context on the situation about the boys and the violence and the blame that Vivian's placing on herself for not telling on them. There's this group called the Five. They are kind of the bad boys, the rapscallions of the pack. One of said rapscallions is named Axel. And Axel gave into what's called the forbidden appetite, which means he ate a human, specifically an innocent girl. And in doing this, someone saw him change from wolf, which is the form he killed the girl in, into human over her body. This person then goes and tells everyone. And while he's not arrested on the grounds of being a werewolf, he is arrested on the grounds of killing someone. While he is in jail, the aforementioned other 4 of the 5 go and kill another girl so that they could be like, look, he's in jail and yet somebody else is dead. Which to me sounds like an idiot plan. However, this works, and he is promptly released from jail, at the cost of another innocent human life, of course. But then again, what wouldn't we do for the ones we love? But just because Mr. Axel was released from jail does not mean that everyone in town believed that it wasn't him. Apparently people in West Virginia in the late 90s are rather suspicious folk. Now, if you're wondering how Vivian feels about all this, I can tell you. Vivian still felt the heat of anger when she thought of what he'd done. She couldn't help thinking he killed for some petty reason, like the girl turned him down. And he could have had me, she thought bitterly. Now they're all up in Maryland. Originally when they moved there, the whole pack lived in this kind of like old rundown Victorian house, but as people found jobs, they moved out with their traditional family unit, which has left Vivian feeling very alone. She talks about how this is just kind of the first time in her life where the pack has been very divided. Her mother is not someone she can turn to anymore. Her father is dead. The 5, who used to be her very close childhood friends, killed someone, which led directly to the burning of her home and the death of her father, so she obviously doesn't feel a lot of kinship with them anymore. In Vivian's loneliness, she is kind of thinking about trying to make friends with humans, but also she's like, why would I be friends with them? If they knew who I was, they would try to kill me. And as she's sort of contemplating wanting more friends, but not really knowing where to find them, she stands in front of her closet mirror. She looks at herself, she's thinking like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I really get close to anyone anymore? And we get a description of what she looks like. She is just the beauty standard for straight women in the 90s. There was nothing the matter that she could see. She was tall and leggy like her mother, with full breasts, small waist, and slim hips that curved enough to show she was female. Her skin was gently golden. It was always golden, sun or not, and her tawny hair was thick and long and wild. Vivian is also a painter. She has a mural on her wall of the pack transformed running in the woods. Most of the time what she paints is wolves, and it looks like our inciting incident for how she's going to meet our favorite meat boy, Aiden, is she submits one of her paintings to the school magazine, and then next to her painting of the wolf is a poem written by another student called Wolf Change. She immediately becomes terrified that this Aiden Teague, who she's not really familiar with, knows about her pack and is going to get them killed. So when she goes to meet Aiden, she originally is ready to confront him and fight him for being a threat to her pack, although it's clear from the get-go he doesn't know anything. He just wrote a poem that he liked. He talks about liking her painting. She talks about liking his poetry. We've got 2 other characters, Quince and Kelly. Important note, Vivian does not have kind things to say about Kelly. She was small, with close cropped dark hair, the sort of girl that wore black stockings even on days like these. I'll put a few more runs in those tights, honey, if you look at me like that again, Vivian promised silently. Now, that's pretty hostile for someone that you don't know, who hasn't even opened their mouth yet. At the end of the chapter, Vivian kind of can't stop thinking about him, and she just goes, what am I, a pervert? Which, yeah, I think sometimes that's how it feels when you have a crush. So now let's go back to Vivian's home life. Her mother is currently in a situationship with a 24-year-old named Gabriel. As mentioned before, she is fighting with other women in the pack over him, specifically a woman named Astrid. Aiden invites Vivian out to a concert, and her mother is very deeply disapproving of this entire situation. She reminds Vivian that they cannot procreate with humans, so there's really no point. As Esme coins it, don't date if you can't mate. But as Esme is currently dating someone who's got to be at least 10 years her junior, I don't really think she has a lot of room to talk about who Vivian can or cannot date. And now we get her first ever change of the book. It is described incredibly sexually, which honestly I did not expect. Turns out they are not actually werewolves. They're not wolves at all. She was a creature much larger and stronger than any natural wolf. Her toes and legs were too long, her ears too big, and her eyes held fire. Wolf was only a convenient term they had adopted. Those who preferred science to myth said they descended from something older, some early mammal that had absorbed protein, Protan, protein matter that can change into different materials. So, protein matter brought to Earth by a meteorite. Anyway, our non-wolf wolf pack is meeting together in Vivian's home. The building burn in the prologue, we just found out, was an inn that they all sort of ran together. So they are getting their insurance money, which means that they can leave Maryland, go somewhere where they can actually run free. Also, they have to decide on a pack leader. It was Vivian's father who was the pack leader. They still haven't replaced him in the year since his death. There is a lot of rift between the pack. People want to go, people want to stay. One person is actually trying to advocate for them to just start eating people all the time. This is Lucian. Because of all of this rift between the pack, it is suggested that they decide their leader the old way. And the old way means what you think it means. It's just a fight to the death. It's like a big brawl. It looks like probably every male wolf is going to throw his hat in. But our two real contenders, it looks like are Rudy, who is a little bit older and a little bit more level-headed, and Gabriel, who is the 24-year-old that Esme is sleeping with. He's just a bit rash. Oh, okay. Ew. Alright, so after this meeting, everyone is still kind of gathered. This is the night that Vivian's going to the concert with Aiden, and Esme has spread it around that Vivian is going to a concert with a human, and she gets confronted by the five about this. She says, "So what? I'm going to a concert, not disemboweling him. I don't think that's going to get anyone into trouble." Rafe stepped closer. "We don't like our women hanging out with meat boys. It's unnatural." His breath was hot on her face. "You better not choose some meat boy over one of us." "Piss off," Vivian spat, and got up. "No one tells me what to do." She shoved Rafe away so she could pass him, catching him off guard. I'm really hoping to see this Rafe character murdered violently. And I'm really hoping that this does not become a love triangle situation. After this whole incident, she leaves and she goes to the concert. She has a really good time with Aiden. His car is a yellow slug bug. He has a book called Witchcraft for Tomorrow on the floor. She has some incredibly horny thoughts. And we get introduced to more of Aiden's friends. They're artists and punk and sort of hippie. Clear that he's kind of got the oddball friend group of the high school. I am really being sold on the dynamic between Vivian and Aiden. She's got an artistic side to her, yes, but she's also incredibly angry, shuts people out, blah, 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 the trope. And Aiden is just this lovable goofball who's really kind and has a yellow car. I will say the part of this book that I find incredibly grating to read is, yes, the weird misogyny that Vivian sort of spouts about the women who show up in her life, but also the alpha dynamics that cannot be taken out of, I assume, any book that deals with the supernatural wolf. Assume every single interpersonal dynamic I have described to you at some point somebody describes one of them needing to be the alpha or being the alpha and the other one needing to be, submissive and put in their place. I'm reading more through the concert. Speaking of the alpha dynamics, I'll just give you this little bit. So they're all sitting at the lawn at the concert. Kelly stood up. "We're going to the bathroom." All the meat girls followed her obediently. She was the head bitch. "Coming?" Bingo called over her shoulder. Vivian shook her head. I piss when I please, she thought. So we're getting a lot more of the Aiden and Vivian relationship. It seems like the pack dynamics are kind of taking a back burner while this relationship is developing. It's been a few weeks. They are a full-blown out couple. They are Edward and Bella-ing everywhere. They're making out in hallways. They're being weird. Vivian continuously tells herself that she doesn't actually care about him and this is all a game to her, but it's very clear she really cares about him and this relationship is important to her. As all of this is happening, Aiden ends up inviting her to something called an anti-prom, which happens to fall on a full moon, so Vivian has to kind of make up an excuse for why she can't go. She decides to go with saying she's grounded, However, if anybody knows Vivian, they know that that does not matter, and Vivian does what she wants. Also, she says she's grounded for, quote, smoking dope, unquote. So it's the night of anti-prom. She's lying about being grounded for smoking dope. She doesn't go out with the rest of the pack to do the change with them. She stays behind. She's going to go out on her own. However, she waits just a little too long, and she starts changing while she's inside. Charity felt the beginning creak of bones reforming, the pop of sinews changing. She forced down the cramp in her gut. She would have to leave soon. And then, lo and behold, who shows up? Other than sweet, kind, thoughtful, yellow bug driving Aiden, while she is turning into a hairy beast. Oh no. He showed up with a bottle of wine. You know what? If this is how he finds out, I'm totally okay with that. A spasm ripped through her and the bones in her knees crunched. Go, please go, she yelled, and scrambled for the window like a drunk, her legs refusing to obey. I'm going to be sick. That's how I react every single time I'm gonna throw up. Oh, okay. No, he's not gonna find out. She has thrown herself into the bathroom. She's just pretending she has some type of, like, stomach flu and, like, just yelling at him to go away. She spends the night locked in the bathroom. It is not a pleasant night. When she wakes up, she is steadfast in her belief that she should stop seeing Aiden, and that if she keeps seeing him, she's going to kill him. Okay, well, she's not breaking up with him. She is actually meeting his parents. So we've got some more Aiden lore. His parents are deeply disapproving of everything about him, and they don't like him. Dinner with the parents goes pretty smooth. She does go to his room, and he has a bunch of tiny Godzillas lined up in front of a big Godzilla. And then next to that is a mound of clay with a silver cross in it. We've been getting a lot of Aiden these last few chapters. He is now away for a family trip that happens to fall over Vivian's birthday. Vivian comes home and she doesn't even think that, like, her mom remembers it's her birthday. She is surprised by a little birthday get-together with her mom, Gabriel, and the five. It is made clear that at one point Vivian and them were very close, especially as children. And she does still deeply care for most of them, even Rafe, although she does have a particular anger towards Rafe because he is a particular kind of dick. Aiden eventually does come back from his court-mandated family vacation, and he ends up giving Vivian a birthday present, of course, but this birthday present is a silver pentagram, and as it turns out, in this canon, silver is still poisonous to the blood of a wolf. It doesn't react to their skin, but if they have, like, an open wound, it will burn through the flesh. So Vivian can wear this silver, but if, like, she got a paper cut or something on her neck, it would then burn through her flesh. She does decide to wear it on dates because she thinks it's probably safe to do. And once again, we get her thinking of herself as a danger and a hunter. Yes, I do like it, she said solemnly. It's more perfect than I can ever tell you. Because I, too, have a double edge, she thought, and you should run from me as fast as your legs can carry you. And that is the end of May, June. We are now on to July. Thunder Moon. Well, Rafe has killed a dog. Obviously, Vivian is pretty pissed off by this. He does allude and goat Vivian into thinking that it is not only a human, that it is Vivian's human, that it's Aiden. After this interaction with Rafe, she immediately runs to go find Aiden and make sure he's okay. The animosity between the pack is really ramping up. There have been a few more calls for eating people. There's definitely been some arguments among the pack about leaving and not leaving. It looks as if Gabriel is the real contender for who's going to be the, like, pack leader. While the pack becomes more divided, Vivian is finding more community among human teenagers. She gets invited over by Aiden's friend Bingo, and this is where she gets very nervous and she gets really insecure, and she's like, I don't know if I can be normal around them. I don't know if they'll like me. I don't know if they'll accept me, which I really like is in there. And I think if this was given a bit more nuance, it could lead to some, like, textual explanation for why she's so hateful towards other women. While that theme isn't really being explored, I do like that the Colonel's in there. Vivian hesitated. She wouldn't have Aiden to hide behind. What if she didn't know how to join in? What if she made a fool of herself? But this is what you wanted, you coward, she told herself. She ignored the flutter in her stomach and nodded. Yeah, thanks. I'd love to. Which was just her telling Bingo. Yeah, she'll go. She obviously has some reservations throughout the hangout, but all in all, she says it's the most fun that she's had in ages. Okay, it's time for the big fight to see who's going to be leader. So they have all gone out into the forest to change and drink a special drink for the ceremony. There is also a number of lone or stray wolves that have shown up for the competition. I feel like that shouldn't be allowed. If I was in a pack, I would definitely not want a complete stranger who has, in front of my very own eyes, beaten and killed multiple members of a pack in which I've been a part of my whole life to be my next leader. But who am I? We've got some stray wolves. Vivian describes it as just a bunch of blood and fur. We really don't get a lot of descriptions of the violence. The only named characters that we actually got as a description were Bucky, Jean, and Gabriel. We get this really gross and really violent scene. Vivian is watching Bucky absolutely rip Jean to shreds. Vivian is very affected by it. She's very scared by it, and she cannot believe that Bucky is doing this to Jean. At the end of it, Jean dies. When a wolf dies in wolf form, they turn back into a human, leaving him naked, vulnerable, and dead at the hands of someone who was a very close friend. But now in the competition, the only people that are left are Gabriel, Bucky, and then this random, blonde stray wolf. Gabriel kind of comically defeats Bucky pretty quickly. He does not kill him, though. Then it's Gabriel against the stray wolf. Gabriel wins. Gabriel is now the leader of the pack. Vivian's kind of standing with everyone, intaking this violence. Jean was the only person to die. She's intaking the aftermath and the violence. She's processing what she's seen. She's also sitting there thinking about how Bucky is going to handle what he's done once he's out of this, feral wolf, alpha male stage, whatever's happening. But while she's thinking about this, all of a sudden, Astrid comes up behind, starts fighting with Esme. Now, Astrid starts completely destroying Esme. And Vivian is sitting there confused. She doesn't know what's happening. She's watching her mother be ripped to shreds by Astrid, and nobody else in the pack is doing anything. So, of course, Vivian jumps in, rips into Astrid. She sees what she's done. She gets scared. She's confused. Astrid is down. Esme is down. All of a sudden, all of the other women in the pack start rotating around Vivian. She's scared. She's like, oh my god, I'm about to get in trouble. What the fuck is happening? And then they all lay down, put their bellies up. She realizes that she has won the brawl for wolf marriage to Gabriel, who is 24. She is 16 years old. Gabriel then starts barreling towards her. She bolts. She just absolutely runs away. I'm scared for her. Vivian is court ordered to mate for and with Gabriel, who has been nothing but a dick this entire time. I don't like him. He's not a fleshed out character. He's so boring. Also, he's 24. She's 16. If this is where the love triangle comes in, he was fucking her mom. Her mom's very much yeah, you've got to mate with him. She's just kind of hoping that if she continues to refuse, that he'll move on to somebody else. She's also got Aiden to contend with. She's very scared about his physical safety now. She doesn't really want to leave the house. Who shows up, if nobody else? Gabriel. His grin faded. I will court you, he said, and I won't give up. I will wait for you like I waited for you outside that cave, and I'll follow you like I followed you home that night, keeping you safe. I will wait for you because you are meant to be mine. He's going to be the love interest. I'm pissed. Okay, let's see where we're going. Oh, she's at Aiden's house. She wants to tell him. She wants to tell him she's a wolf. She's changing. She's standing in his bedroom. You wanted magic, didn't you? She asked. He thinks that this is a sex thing. Vivian laughed. No, silly. I want to show you what I can turn into. He's not taking it well. Still, she's half wolf, half person. Aiden's crying, and he's throwing things, and she jumped out the window. Things have gone horrifically wrong for my girl Vivian. She's being chased by Gabriel. Her nice boyfriend started throwing things at her, and now she's woken up with blood in her mouth. She blacked out after she jumped out of Aiden's window. Someone has turned up dead. Clearly it was one of the wolf pack members who did it. Nobody knows who did it. Gabriel is threatening to make whoever did it pay. They are searching for whoever it is, and he'll be doing what I assume will be corporal punishment. Vivian does assume it's herself. Everyone else assumes it's one of the men in the pack. Also, while Gabriel, Esme, and Vivian are discussing this, Gabriel gives his little monologue, and I have some thoughts. I understand the urge to kill as much as any of us, he said fiercely, and Vivian believed him, but it must be controlled. There is no wilderness to hide in anymore. We can't run in packs in the mountains where travelers go unmissed for months. There are no black forests that stretch on for days, and it's been many centuries since we ruled small kingdoms in the dark center of Europe as if we were gods. Homo sapiens is everywhere. They outnumber us, and Homo lupus must live beside them. As much as we might crave to, we cannot kill them. To do so endangers us. He paused. Sometimes I think we have outlived our time. I know that a lot's going on, but I do want to take a second to look at that. There are a million places in the world where you could go and be free. There's a bunch of places in America that they could go to. Not to bring this up, but Forks, Washington is in the middle of the Olympic National Park. There's Alaska. If you try just a little bit, never run into any other human. If you can move outside of the US, you can go to Canada. I think it's something like 90% of their population lives within 100 miles of the US border, meaning that all of that land is just wild open land. You could have this. There is wilderness to hide in. There are mountains where travelers go unmissed for months. There are black forests that stretch on for days. I'm putting it away. We finally get a reference to the title of the book. At night, she locked herself in her room and comforted herself with chocolate. Her dreams were of the dark and of blood. Obviously, Aiden and Vivian are no longer together. She called her friend Bingo because she couldn't get a hold of Aiden. And it turns out that Aiden has lied to Bingo about what happened and said that Vivian went into some kind of jealous rage and broke his window. So now she doesn't have those friends anymore. She goes to find him after his shift at the College City Shopping Center. She sneaks up on him in the dark, puts her hand around his face, says not to scream, confesses her love to him again, promises that she's not going to hurt him, and he's just like, "Are you kidding me? I know you killed that guy. You're violent. I'm terrified of you. Stay away from me." She also calls him out about how he's actually not curious or into magic. I mean, I've never had a girlfriend turn into a wolf in front of me, but I would like to imagine that I would be more intrigued than scared. And I'd like to imagine I wouldn't start crying and throwing things at her. But I've never had it happen. So we are now on to August. Satan's Moon? Spelled S-A-T-Y-N. Does that mean anything? I don't think it's a misspelling. Maybe it is. I don't know. I can't find anything on the web. So Vivian is not doing well. It's been a few weeks and she has just been pretty down and pretty depressed. She's going to a concert on her own tonight in the hopes of running into Aiden. On the way to that concert, who else shows up but Gabriel? Gabriel then gives Vivian a ride on his motorcycle. They pull up. Everyone turns to stare because his motorcycle is just weirdly loud. And then she sees Aiden. She then kisses Gabriel. And then Gabriel somehow turns her and pushes her down onto the motorcycle. It's just one of those things that it's supposed to sound domineering and hot, but it just seems physically kind of confusing. He afterwards is like, "Don't use me." I mean, valid point, but also she is a child and you're an adult. She's gonna do immature things. Aiden's dating Kelly. Wow. So despite kind of crying through most of the concert, she does stick it out. She ends up going back home. "I am beautiful," she screamed hoarsely. "Why can't he see that?" She ripped at the grass, dug holes in the earth, and flung the soil into the night. Who hasn't been there, right? Rafe kind of shows up, gives her a bottle of miscellaneous alcohol. She starts drinking. Oh, well, now she's fantasizing about killing Kelly. She is drunk as a skunk, and she is at Kelly's house. Kelly's not there, but she's in her room. She's fucking tearing everything up. Oh my god. So, At the meetup between Aiden and Vivian, she threw the pentagram back at him. She has just now found the pentagram in Kelly's room. So the chapter ends with, she knew where Kelly was. Aiden's house. I will rip you from his arms, Vivian promised. I will rip you. The night contracted to a pinpoint of hate. And then next chapter, Vivian wakes up in a room. She's naked. There's a severed hand in her bed. Okay, it's not Kelly. There's a ring on the hand. The ring was a silver skull. It belonged to the biker who'd come onto her outside Tooley's. Okay, so Vivian may have killed again. We don't actually know if she killed the first one. I don't think she did because of the type of book this is. She's trying to figure out how to hide the hand. She buries the hand, and then she goes back inside. She finds her mom and Gabriel in there. They are listening to the news on the radio. It appears as if someone has called into the cops and said that they know it's a werewolf. The cops obviously aren't taking this seriously. The radio hosts are kind of joking about it. Clearly this scares the actual werewolf. Vivian was well aware of who it was. How could he do that, she thought in dismay. After all those sweet kisses, how could he think she could kill? I mean, you did absolutely shred Kelly's room to pieces, then wait for her in the dead of night to kill her, and then wake up with a severed hand in your bed. Now, I know that this is a book, which means that you probably didn't do it, Vivian. However, we have a lot of damning evidence. The cops are coming to her house. She gazed out the dining room window in time to see 2 police officers coming up the front path. My girl cannot go to jail. They have come to question her because the murder took place a few blocks from Kelly's house. Obviously, Kelly came home and found that her room was torn up and nowhere else in the house was torn up. And Kelly is already under the impression that she shattered Aiden's window in a jealous rage. Kelly went to the cops, told them to go check out Vivian. When the police ask if Vivian has an alibi for the night before, Gabriel steps in, makes quite a lot of lewd comments about them having sex all night to these police officers. He is 24 and she is 16. Now, I understand that there's been 2 murders in town and they're investigating that. However, there are other laws. Well, due to this, she at least has an alibi, and the police are not gonna keep investigating her, and she's not gonna go to jail, hopefully, maybe. The police officers leave. Gabriel and Esme know that she tore up Kelly's room. They don't think that she murdered anybody, but they do know that she was the one to tear up Kelly's room. So Gabriel leaves. Vivian's hanging out at home, and Quint, as you'll remember, one of Aiden's friends, brings a note to the house from Aiden. It's an invitation to meet Aiden that night at the rocks down by the river. It says, be there at 2 a.m. She was sure Aiden only wanted to see her so he could repeat that it was all over and demand that she stay away from Kelly. She was damned if she would meet him to be demeaned by that crap. But if that was all he wanted to stay, why send Quince with a note? Why meet her at 2 a.m. in a deserted place? Then she remembered what Gabriel had said would happen if Aiden knew what she was. I swear to the moon he'll try to kill you. It's not possible, she thought. Aiden wasn't capable of murder, or was he? If he believed it was what he was obligated to do. I don't want to find out, she thought. But if she didn't meet him, would he stalk her? Would he discover the pack's secret? How long before he persuaded others of the truth? She knew it was possible for others to believe. She'd seen her last home burn. I'm the weak link, she thought. I'm a danger to my people. I need to be removed. She could run away, but where to? The idea of being alone chilled her. And what if I continue to kill, she thought. Each time I kill, I take the risk of being caught, and if I'm caught, they might trace my family. One thing she was sure of, she couldn't stand the shame of a trial by her own people. She couldn't turn herself into the pack. There was only one real answer, of course. To protect her family, her pack. She would have to kill herself. The breath seemed to leave her body for a moment. Time stood still. That was the answer. It was so sparkling clear that it hurt like ice water and left her brain cold, numb, and awake. Vivian, I love you, girl. This is not the answer, and this is not going to work. So she goes out to the woods. I just knocked off one of my face gems. No! That will have to do. It's back on. Okay. So she goes out to the woods. She gets a can of gasoline because she's trying to figure out what will actually kill her. It's kind of pretty hard to kill a wolf. Covers herself in gasoline. She is trying to strike the match, but it won't light. She says, "Can't I do anything right?" And then she throws the matches aside and fumbled for another. And as this is happening, William, Ulf, Gregory, and Gabriel all show up, and Ulf tells Vivian that it wasn't her. Okay. We know who did it. It's Astrid and Rafe. I don't know why I didn't guess that. I think I just wanted it to be Vivian. I thought it'd be more interesting. No, so Ulf went home, and he found his mom and Rafe hiding a human body. He heard them talking, and they were talking about the note that Quince had given Vivian earlier. After she read it, she shoved it back in his face. So it was Quince that they had killed, but because of the note, they are now on their way to meet Aiden and assumedly kill and eat him too. Once Vivian understands this, she makes a beeline to go save Aiden because it's said to meet at 2 o'clock in the morning. When the gasoline thing happens, it's about 1:45, so she's on her way there. The other guys leave to go get the rest of the pack. Aiden leapt to his feet as she ran towards him, his face etched sharply in the light of the moon. Vivian reached for him. "We've got to get out of here." He jerked out of her grasp. "Come on," she pleaded. "I can't explain now." A twitch in her back and a stab of nausea made her stagger. "Don't touch me," he cried, and brought up his arms. He aimed a gun at her with both hands like a cop on TV. "I want Aiden to die. I don't want Vivian to end up with Gabriel. And I would like some closure on the relationship with her mother, but we have very few pages left, and I don't think that's going to happen." Rafe and Astrid show up. Vivian puts it together that Rafe was kind of setting her up. Rafe was the one who gave her the bottle, and Rafe was also the one who insinuated that he saw her running towards the bar at the time of the first murder. And then we get the tried and true rant from the villain. "Clever, Vivian, you figured it out," Astrid answered. "Give the girl a hand." Oh my god. "Give the girl a hand, Rafe." "Oh, but you already did, didn't you?" She shrieked with laughter. Anyway, yeah, he's the one who put the hand in her bed. But also throughout the conversation, Astrid keeps being like, "I fucking want Gabriel, and you took him from me, and I hate you for that." And Rafe, who is dating her, is just like, yeah. They're still alone with Rafe and Astrid. She tells Aiden to shoot Rafe, and then she transforms into a wolf to fight Astrid. He does kill Rafe, which I didn't think was going to happen, but he does kill Rafe. Vivian has a fight with Astrid, and in the middle, the rest of the pack show up. Gabriel separates Astrid, ends up killing Astrid. After all of the dust settles, Aiden is still there with the gun. He pulls it on Gabriel. Vivian, who thinks he won't shoot me, stands in between the gun and Gabriel, and then, lo and behold, Aiden shoots her. It is a silver bullet made of the melted pentagram necklace that he gave her. So now, because it's silver, but he didn't have great aim, it doesn't kill her. But she does get stuck between human and wolf, and so she's in this kind of mangled physical form. Gabriel lets Aiden go, and that is the end of the chapter. So it looks like Vivian ends up kind of stuck in the half-human, half-wolf form for a few weeks. She stays locked up in her bedroom. In the meantime, the rest of the 5, barring Rafe, of course, who's dead, thank God, the rest of the 5 will kind of climb up on top of the roof outside her window, and they half change, so they're half wolf, half human, and look like her to hang out with her. We find out that Gabriel found an inn up in Vermont that apparently has plenty of forest and land for all of them to roam on, so they're planning to move up there. And then Gabriel comes to her window, oddly enough, explains how he once had a human lover, and then explains that during sex with the human lover, he would change a little bit. And then eventually he changed too much, lost control. She got scared, and then his wolfy instincts kicked in, and he killed her. Turns out that this perfect, beautiful little love story is actually a preamble for sex that Vivian and Gabriel are about to have. He explains that she actually can change if she tries, because when you love someone, you can't help but be your true form with them, which is sweet, I guess. She does turn back into a human. Kind of the last thing is her talking about how she's going to be bound by duty for life to be like the queen of their pack. She says she's going to be bound by duty for her life like her father. And then she says, this is what I owe him. This is how I make it up to him. Which feels like an answer to the guilt that she was feeling at the very beginning of this book. No closure for the mom, though, which is fine, I guess. It's not. I don't like it. I don't like that. I really wish there had been closure for the mom. I think that the first half of the book was really fun. And I could really overlook the, like, overtones of misogyny that's inevitably just going to be in there because of the type of book that it is and when it was written. I think that the last half of the book was fun to read in the sense that I did not know what was about to happen and I was very stressed. I also think that her, like, breakup experience was brutal to read, which I really liked. I don't like that she ended up with Gabriel at all. I really don't like it. He doesn't feel like a fleshed out character. Overall, I'd have to say I would suggest this book. It was a fun read. Vivian is a really fun character. You never know what she's gonna do next. And Vivian ended up with a sense of family at the end, which is what, I think it's what we all wanted for throughout it. If you are still watching this, I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I will be doing another odd book club soon. My next book I'm going to cover is going to be a book called Pies and Prejudice with a main character named Ella May Faye. She makes magic pies and there's murder involved. I hope you enjoyed Blood and Chocolate. I have been reading and talking for like 4 hours, so I'm going to make some coffee. Okay. It's like everyone's forgot. It's like nobody cares in this book at all that she is. Fine. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care.